Belize City, guys. Take your time, watch your step.
Thanks, brother. I just walked past a t-shirt that said, "You better Belize it." Belize City, 30 degrees, sound of reggae. Walking past a Rasta man, alright mate, with a woolly hat on. I will never ever understand how you could wear a woolly hat at 30 degrees. It just always amazes me. Senegal's about 30 degrees. I reckon 50% of Senegalese are wearing a woolly hat at any one time. Anyway, enough of Senegal. Where am I? I'm in Belize, which is alright, isn't it? Yeah, what can I tell you? It's hot, there's a lot of palm trees, there's a lot of extremely bright, colourful flowers. Belize City is, and I don't think this is unfair to say, a bit of a shithole, to be honest. It's the biggest city here in Belize. If you come to Belize, you have to come here. First of all, it's where the airport is, if you're flying in internationally. And then if you're moving on, which you will be, you'll come here to use the port. Alright, so you'll get to the port, and then you'll take a boat, and you'll leave Belize City behind. Crime rate's really high. Some of it's violent crime. There's a lot of gang crime. Look, as I'm saying this, there's a fucking police car crime scene written down the side. Welcome to Belize. I will tell you about Belize in a minute. Let me just get myself to a coffee shop. I'm going to ask this policeman wearing a t-shirt and sitting on an upturned cart where the local coffee shop is. As I'm walking up to him, I'll just tell you where I am. So I've got palm trees around. I've got loads of dilapidated old wooden buildings. I'm in the tropics here, and the architecture is kind of funky. It's all, old school, beaten up, weathered wood, but loads of colour, loads of teal, loads of turquoise. Much like the water, the beautiful body of water that is next to me. Tropical turquoise coloured waters. Oh, happy days. Right, let's ask this Rosa what the score is. Hey, boss.
Yeah.
Is there a coffee shop down there?
Yeah, so Spooner's right there with that black tent right there.
Is it any good?
That black shed. Yeah, nice coffee sold there, man.
Done.
You
Thanks,
can't
brother.
go wrong.
Good
You
man.
know, you just relax and enjoy yourself there.
Hey, how is it around here? Is it fairly safe in the day?
Yeah, fairly safe in the day. It's us in Maine. It's fairly safe. No more happened to you.
What's it like at night?
Huh?
What's it like at night?
Night is kind of hectic. Night is kind of rough. Got too many movements. But in the day is kind of better.
Yeah.
But you go to places that's safe. They got police security everywhere. You don't go to places that security ain't at. But if you go to a place that security, you enjoy yourself.
All right, nice.
It's nice though.
Nice one, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Take care. Love that guy. Yeah, I think he said at night it gets a bit hectic. Make of that what you will. I presume it means if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you don't have security, they will open a can of whoop-ass on you. If you come to Belize, you probably won't hang out much here. Right, I am relaxed in a coffee shop in the shade. It's still absolutely pumping with the heat.
Yeah, you look like you're happy with your life.
Lovely, lovely people. You look like you're relaxed in your life, I think he said. Something like that. I am, actually. All right, well, let's find out why. Let's explore Belize. Welcome along. Right, I'm sat in a coffee shop with a coffee, which is outrageously expensive. I've just realised Belize is going to be a little bit expensive compared to bordering Guatemala. I did notice it's cheaper to drink beer than coffee, which I was just thinking about the equivalent. So in London, it's about £3 a coffee and about £7 a beer. So always just over double. Here, it's almost exactly the reverse. It's about $10 Belizean for a coffee and $5 Belizean for a beer. So I think I may have made a mistake with the coffee, but I'll drink this, give myself a little bit of a caffeine boosteruna, and then I'll have a beer to celebrate. You can have it all. But yeah, what is a Belizean dollar? It's go about half to get American, right? So 10 Belizean dollars a coffee, halve it, it's 5 American. So it's pretty bloody expensive. 5 American bucks for a coffee. So where am I? What am I doing? Well, as I say, I'm in a coffee shop. I'm in Belize City. Where is Belize? It's the smallest country in Central America, physically, and the smallest in population as well. Unlike neighbouring Guatemala, which is the largest country in Central America and has the largest population. But let's leave Guatemala behind as we push into Belize now. And wow, all I can say is, what a fucking difference. That is quite a different country, even though it borders it. First of all the Spanish dissipates immediately, and you immediately go into English. Caribbean vibes, loads of reggae, loads of rastas, the smell of weed, which I love the smell of weed. Wish I liked weed. Wish I got on with it a bit more. Unfortunately, it's never really done it for me. I just go into a weird kind of a stage, which some people like, but I find a bit if you know what I mean. Or actually, it's sometimes even a little bit So yeah, it's not really my bag, but I think they like it here. It's decriminalised in small amounts here, so if you find the stench of weed a good thing, then Belize is probably the place for you. And I dare say if you want to smoke a doob on the island, then you'll be just grand, my friend. 400,000 people live here. The capital is Belmopan, which I went through on the bus. If you get a bus from the border with Guatemala, you will go through Belmopan, but it's, as far as I can see, fairly dull. It's a tiny little capital. It's probably just full of consulates and other buildings that are, you know, relevant to international stuff. But actual people living there, not many. The biggest city is the one you arrive in next, Belize City, which I always thought was the capital, but it isn't. It's the biggest city. That's where I am now, Belize City. And as you're probably getting the vibe, you won't spend long here. You'll probably get a boat to one of the islands, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what's that about? Why leave immediately? Well, people just do. Little bit of a shitbox here, as previously noted. And it's just, I don't know, is there stuff to do? Not really. If there is a beach here, I'm sure there is somewhere, then I'm not sure it's particularly special. And why would you do anything beach or water related when everything is better once you get on a boat? And that's what you'll do. You'll probably go to San Pedro. Now, I'll let you into a secret. I've already been to an island, and the reason I'm in this coffee shop is I'm actually going to be going from here in a cab to the airport, and this still blows my mind, so I have to tell you, I will be flying directly from Belize City to Toronto. I still can't believe that flight exists. There's one a week. There's also one directly to Calgary. So if the cold is getting too much, I highly recommend getting your cold buns down here, Canadians, because, well, let's be honest, it's 30 degrees here, and I've just looked at the weather in Toronto, and it's -1. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, because I really have very incorrect clothing once I get to Toronto. Anyway, let's not bore you with all that shit. Let's actually talk about something far more interesting, and that is Belize. If you go from here to get a boat, the chances are you'll go to San Pedro, and you may have an image of San Pedro in your mind. Even if you haven't heard of it, actually, you probably have. Last night I dreamt of San Pedro. Right, you know, all the way through my life, I thought Isla Bonita was a song about someone called La Isla. Because I'm a fucking idiot. It's not that. It's La Isla Bonita, as in the island beautiful, as in the beautiful island. Last night I dreamt of San Pedro. San Pedro is the biggest island here in Belize, and that's the one you'll probably get a boat out to, San Pedro. And once you're on San Pedro, there's cars and trucks and all the things that you find in regular cities, and it's a big ass island. And that island of San Pedro, that dwelling of San Pedro, is the second most populous place in Belize. So most people in Belize live here in Belize City, but if they don't live here, the chances are they live on La Isla Bonita, San Pedro. Now, I didn't go to San Pedro because I'm a little bit of a renegade. I was in a coffee shop in Belize City a couple of days ago, and the guy that runs it said if I was going to go anywhere, I'd go to Key Corker, which, let's just talk about that for a minute. That's where I went, but let's just explain. I find it fascinating. Key, right, you know how you spell key, right, when it comes to the nautical key, right, is Quay, which is the most fucking ridiculous spelling of key you could possibly have. because surely that says quay. They here spell it C-A-Y-E. So where I went, the island is called Key Corker, but it's spelled C-A-Y-E, which surely spells K. I mean, for fuck's sake, can we not all get together and phonetically spell key in a way that we can understand? Anyway, if you get to Key Corker, C-A-Y-E, Corker as in I put silicone around a bath, isn't that what corking is? C-A-U-L-K-E-R. I am a corker. This is such a ridiculous podcast already. If you get to K Corker or Key Corker, C-A-U-L-K-E-R, you will be absolutely blown away, because that's where I've been for the last couple of days. I tried to do a couple of recordings, but it was windy and frankly it didn't work, and I was too busy relaxing and doing all the things you do on an island, including drink rum. Jesus, this coffee's going to knock my tits off. Wow, that is mental. I've given up asking for Americanos because they're always too weak, so now I've gone to the espresso, and sweet baby Jesus, that one packed a punch. I'm a buzzing. So yeah, where was I? So I went to Key Corker on the advice of a guy in a coffee shop, and it was great advice. You get a boat out there, it's going to cost you about $10 or something. It takes about an hour, and once you're out there, you'll be greeted by proper Caribbean. You instantly get off the boat and think, what the hell is this? Particularly when you've just come from Guatemala, because it really is a different world. Everyone's speaking English because this used to be an English colony. The Queen is still on the money, and it's just got an absolute hardcore Caribbean vibe. I've never been to Jamaica, but I assume it is very similar to Jamaica. Lots of fried chicken, lots of quite fatty foods actually in general. Quite a lot of fish, lots of cooked lobster, lots of cold beer, lots and lots of rum. We can't forget, of course, if we're going to talk about rum, why these people are mostly black. That is because of the slave trade and the sugar plantations in and around the Caribbean. A nasty piece of human history, as we look back on what we used to be and think, did we really do that? Yes, we really were complete and utter arseholes. Nowadays, on Key Corker, you'll find a lot of things, but you probably won't find any arseholes, because it really is a fantastically mellow place. If you want to get around, you either jump on someone's golf cart, rent a bicycle, or walk. And why wouldn't you walk? You can walk around the whole island in 40 minutes, 40, I think. Once you get a water taxi to the island, you'll realise that actually this is what Belize is all about. After all, this is one of 450 islands. And why do people come to these islands? Mostly to dive. Why? Because there's 450 fish species. So one fish species for every island. Although I don't think each fish hangs out at their own island, because that's not how fish work. I don't know a lot about aquatics, but I know that fish don't need their own islands. In fact, it is very rare to see a fish walking around on an island. And even rarer, I would suggest, to see a fish on a bicycle. They are just absolutely shit at it, aren't they? Let's be honest, they really need to sort that out. But if you do manage to get yourself to one of those islands, which, let's be honest, if you went to Belize and you didn't go to one of the islands, I'm not sure why you came to Belize, right? Unless you're, I don't know, a UN aid worker, or you work for the American consulate, or you have an absolutely horrific fear of water, in which case, again, why did you come to Belize? But if you get yourself to one of those islands, you'll have an absolutely amazing time. You know, it's the picture postcard Caribbean life. Run-down, shuttered houses, lots of turquoise and teal colours, lots of peeling... don't know what that was. Lots of peeling paint, and lots of just dilapidated houses where the hurricanes have come through and given them a good smacking, and they've put them back together. Loads of the houses are on stilts. Totally, as I say, totally different to Guatemala, where you very rarely find any houses on stilts. So, once you get there, what are you going to eat? Well, as previously described, lots of lobster. That's always a tidy one. And if you want, and I haven't found this, right, but apparently, there's a thing called gibnut. Right, now, I have to take a bit of a pinch of salt with this, because I researched this and I was very happy with this fact. And then I asked a woman who ran a restaurant on the island, have you heard of gibnut? And she said no, and walked away, as if to say, what the hell are you talking about? So gibnut is, if it exists, and apparently it does, one of the dishes of Belize that is a barbecued rat. Yep, a barbecued rat is what you can get here in Belize, and it's been dubbed the royal rat. And the reason it's been dubbed the royal rat, gibnut, the royal rat, was once served to Queen Elizabeth II. Yep, she was here, as I'm sure she's been here a couple of times. You know, they do like a bit of Commonwealth, don't they? The royals come out, spin the plate, make sure it's still going, and try not to focus on systemic historic racism. If if she did come, well, we know that she did come out here, and we know that she apparently ate gibnut. The Queen ate a barbecued rat. Forgive me for interrupting, but I can't lead you down the garden path, not like the British press does, and that's the problem here. The Queen did go to Belize. The Queen did eat gibnut. That is true, but she knew exactly what she was eating because she was given the menu weeks beforehand. She accepted it. Gibnut is a rodent. That is true, but it's more like a rabbit than a rat. But the shitty British press was at it telling lies, and that is what this is. So yes, she did eat gibnut. She did eat a rodent. It is not a rat. It does not eat garbage. But guess what? When they said the Queen ate rat and dubbed it the royal rat, it sold loads of extra papers. Anything to get those papers moving, or indeed the clicks in modern day world. The same British press that goes as low as a limbo dancer without a spine. Yes, those absolute shitbags that have in the past managed to hack a murdered girl's phone, amongst other things, are just a bunch of old knob cheeses. But don't worry, the truth is here. It's a bit too late to fix all the lies around Brexit, but I can fix this one. The Queen did not eat a rat, but she did eat a rodent. You heard it here, not first, not in the least bit first, considerably last, like I think most people have moved on. Back to the podcast, back to Belize. So I've been talking to the locals about what it's like to live here in Belize, and the same feedback from most people here in Belize City, which is a great place to live, very corrupt. Who's the richest man in Belize?
Belizean?
Yeah.
Our ex-Prime Minister, Dean Barrow.
He's the richest guy?
Yeah.
Was he corrupt?
Well, so they say, man. So it's like a legitimacy, but the market is too high.
Yeah.
They do like 6 miles of road. That is like $35 million for 6 miles, man. I said, what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah, that's not
And
right.
the road is there already. Just to pave that fucking road is $35 million. And they do a lot of roads the same way, man.
So the pace on the islands is very slow. In fact, there's even signs saying go slow. And at first I thought they were for the boats coming into the dock. But I also saw those signs just dotted around, hanging off trees. Just a quick reminder to slow your pace. There's lots of restaurants called things like Lazy Lucy's. And it's just absolutely wind down time. The boat that I just got was half an hour late. That's kind of normal. If you want to do anything in a rush, forget it. And if you really want to be organised and go on a tour, doesn't matter if you're late. Doesn't matter if you're late for anything, really, because everything is late. It's the sort of place that if you're really anal about time, you might want to shoot yourself. You know what I mean? I'm not, luckily, but I can imagine if you were really organised, it's the sort of place that might drive you a bit mad. I think it's the sort of place that if you're going to try weed, have a little doobie, slow you down. So yeah, it's been a beautiful experience. Unfortunately, I feel like I really haven't been here long enough. I'd like to do a bit more of Belize. I'd like to do a couple more islands. I'd like to do more inland stuff. I bet there are some cool caves and water fountains, and I know there's Mayan ruins as well. I believe some of the oldest Mayan ruins are here in Belize. I don't think they're as spectacular as southern Mexico and Guatemala, but they are some of the oldest, and they're probably pretty damn fine. But to be honest, if you've already done ruins, do you need to do more ruins? So I reckon if you wanted to come just to Belize, you didn't want to go to Guatemala, you didn't want to go to neighbouring countries like Honduras and all that, you'd have a really good time here. You'd spend a bit more money than you would in Guatemala and so on, but you'd have a really good time, and you'd spend most of your time on islands, and you'd eat a lot of chicken, you'd eat a lot of lobster, and you'd read lots of books. You'd find it reasonably culturally interesting. I don't think it would knock your tits off, but you'd have a really good time. It's a good place for a vacation, basically, and that's what they rely on so heavily here. They've got some fruits and a bit of coffee and stuff like that they export, But it should be a lot richer than it is. All right, so it hasn't got diamonds, it hasn't got cobalt, I don't think it's got oil, I don't think it's got a whole bunch of natural minerals, but it has got absolutely hundreds and thousands of tourists coming in every year, and more so all the time. All these little islands are opening up with Airbnbs and hotels and fishing spots and diving trips. So I think it's probably a bit sad that the people of Belize are quite poor, and you can see the poverty and crime wandering around Belize City, and you think, is the government doing everything it can to look after people? I mean, after all, there are only 400,000 of them. That means if you got the whole of Belize and times it by 20, you'd still not quite be at the population of London. There's not that many people. There seems to be a reasonable amount of tourist money coming in. So where's it going? Oh, someone's got a big bastard house, and I reckon it's a governor and a whole bunch of politicians. So yeah, bit of a sad story, but it's so often the case. And it's nearly always the guys that used to be the good guys, right? Like Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua. Used to be the man of the people. Used to be poor. Used to be someone that really wanted to get change from within. And then they go, actually, can I just have a quick palace? Just a little one. Go on, give us a palace. Oh, you know what? It would be nice to have some servants. Okay, I was going to buy a rundown larder, but actually I'm thinking maybe I deserve a Mercedes or 2 or 3, and my wife, one for my lover, another palace. Can I have a horse? How big is the biggest swimming pool available? Is it wrong to get a gold-plated gun? Harem of prostitutes. Is it wrong? Is there any chance I could get a statue of me? Just a quick statue, just a little one. And then the next thing you know, you're Kim Jong-un, which I've never been to North Korea, but I now know, having researched it, that not only is the whole of touring North Korea just a whole bunch of looking at statues of the various Kim dynasty, it's also, you're not allowed to be above the statue. They build them all so you can only ever look up. So they make sure they don't build any of the statues at the bottom of the hill in case someone could be above the statue. I mean, fucking get your ego in check, you stupid fat bastard. And why don't you look after your people and make sure they're not starving? Is it that hard to run a country? If I ever do become some sort of emperor, can you play this back to me and make sure that I never become a giant steaming twat? Anyway, I don't really want to be an emperor. I think I'll happily be a travelling correspondent. But this is Belize, a beautiful tropical bunch of 450 islands and a slightly run-down couple of towns. Not that many people, a whole bunch of fish, and I should have mentioned this, the second biggest coral reef in the world. The first, of course, being the Great Barrier Reef off Australia, and this one being the second. So, just a really special place, and what an amazing cherry on the cake of what has been an exceptional trip through Guatemala and Belize. And now I'm going to take a 31-degree temperature drop as I fly directly to Toronto and work my tits off because it's Christmas, and that gives me a very good opportunity to say, hey, you know what you need? I think you need a canvas print, and that's why you should go to MrPhotoCanvas.com. MrPhotoCanvas.com puts your images of your holidays, like the ones that you might have taken here to Belize, or more likely to Florida, or more likely to what's the most popular holiday spot in the world? Italy, I think. More likely Italy. And yeah, I think you can safely say that we will look after you and put your images on canvas. That was a bit of a crap ad. I tailed off at the end because I got distracted by an enormous amount of seagulls going absolutely mental in the background. But you know, such is life. But yeah, let's get back on track. MrPhotoCanvas.com. Oh, and also, do you need an Adobe training course? I think you do. I think you really should learn Adobe software. Go to AdobeTrainingCourses.com. AdobeTrainingCourses.com. I'll teach you whatever you need to know, my friend. All right, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. Can you do us a favour? Can you drop me an email? Go to vinnywhite.co.uk. So that's VINNEY, Vinny, white, like the colour, .co.uk. And just drop me an email and tell me where you want me to go next. I might not go there, but I'd like some ideas on what other countries to visit. I'm on 93, and the quest is to get to 100. I mean, my maths isn't spectacular, but I think I've got 7 left. And also, it's starting to get mildly depressing because I actually don't really want to break this personal goal, I'd rather not. I'd rather keep doing this forever. So I might end up knocking up more than 100 because I'm enjoying this immensely. But yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts on where to go, and in a polite way, please. Don't tell me where to go. Tell me where you would like me to go. And hey, Jeremy. Hey, man. This is the guy in the coffee shop that I met the other day. I just wanted to thank you because you told me to go to Key Corker. I did. It was amazing.
Okay, good one.
What a good bit of advice that was.
All right, and you found a place. Did Andy tell you a place to stay? Or
Yeah,
he did?
yeah, and I've got a really nice place.
Okay, cool. And you said you were going to come for breakfast. Well, you came anyway.
I came anyway, I got myself a coffee, I might have a beer, and then I need one more bit of advice. Can you tell me a particularly good way of getting to the airport?
I have two guys who are at a place out there, and they can take you. Yeah. I don't know what the rate is. I think it's 25 per person. I'm not getting information, but they're not going to rip you up because I'm sending you there.
Oh yeah? Shall I say that Jeremy sent me? Thanks very much for listening to this podcast on Belize. Happy New Year to you if you're listening in roughly real time. I am currently in Portugal. I did work very hard over the Christmas period. Honest, I really did. My shitting God, did I. And now I'm relaxing a little bit. I just looked into buying a flight to the Ivory Coast and nearly pressed go and then realised I can't really afford it. It's really, really expensive. So I think I'm going to skip that one. But I can't complain because I'm going to a little island called Madeira, which is a Portuguese island not that far from the Canary Islands. So it's like, can I really moan? Not really, not without sounding like a giant arse cheese. So I might do a podcast from Madeira. It doesn't technically count as a tick off because it's part of Portugal and it doesn't have its own little government thing going on there. But who cares? I might just do a podcast from there anyway. So I'm off to Madeira to get some sun because, in the words of Jennifer Lawrence in a shampoo commercial, I'm worth it. Although she gets paid more than me, and let's be honest, her hair's way better. Big love. Thanks for listening. This was mixed and produced in the UK by WeMakePodcasts.uk.